Hi, in this tutorial, we're going to be going over applications using rational equations and proportions. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to solve problems involving motion, work, proportions, and involving similar triangles. So here's the formula for motion. Distance equals the rate times time. Now here's an example for the formula for motion. D, or the distance, equals R, the rate, times T, the time. Now here's the equation for time in motion. The time traveled equals the distance traveled divided by the rate of travel. Or T equals D over R. So let's do an example. It takes a cyclist who averages 16 miles per hour in still air the same time to travel 48 miles with wind as 16 miles against the wind. So if we have x equals the wind's rate then 16 plus x equals the cyclist's speed with wind, and 16 minus x equals the cyclist's speed against the wind. Because here, the average of 16 miles is still air, and then 16 miles against the wind. So now if we make a little bar graph, we could go with wind, and then against. So if we go distance, the distance with the wind is 48 miles, and then against the wind is 16 miles. Now the rate, we said was 16 plus x with the wind and 16 minus x against the wind. So that means our time is 48 divided by 16 plus x, or 16 divided by 16 minus x. Now it says that it takes the same time for this cycle to travel 48 miles without the wind, the same time to travel a cyclist would take 60 miles against the wind. So that means these two equations are equal. So if we take 48 divided by 16 plus x, we set that equal to 16 divided by 16 minus x. And now we multiply by the least common denominator, would give us 48 times 16 plus x times 16 minus x, all over 16 plus x, is 16 plus x, 16 minus x, all over 16 minus x. So now we can cross cancel our like terms. So here we have 16 plus x, we have 16 plus x, here we have 16 minus x, and we have 16 minus x. So now that gives us, right here, that gives us 48 times 16 minus x equals 16 times 16 plus x. Now this equals 48 times 16 gives us 768 minus 48x equals 16 times 16 is 256 plus 16x. So now this gives us 768 minus 256 gives us 512 equals 48x plus 16x gives us 64x. Now 512 divided by 64 gives us 8 equals x equals 8. So that is the wind rate, 8 miles per hour. Now formula for solving work problems is the fraction of the job done by the first plus the fraction of the job done by the second, and you set that equal to 1, or 1 whole job completed. So let's do an example. One pipe fills a pool in 20 hours, and a second pipe fills in 15 hours. How long will it take to fill the pool using both pipes? So if x equals the time to fill both pipes, then x over 20 plus x over 15 equals 1 whole job completed. So now we got to convert this into minutes. So we multiply both sides by 60. So now we get 60x over 20 plus 60x over 15 equals 60. Now if we simplify this, we get 3x plus 4x equals 60, or 12x equals 60, or 7x. 7x equals 60, or x equals 60 over 7, which converts into 60 divided by 7 is 8, and 7 hours. So that's how long it would take to fill the pool using both pipes. Now a ratio compares quantities by division. So here we have 60 men over 30 women, or our ratio is 2 men per woman. A proportion is a statement that says that two ratios are equal. So here if we have A over B equals C over D, this is an example of our proportion. Crossproduct principle for proportion states that if A over B equals C over D, then that means A times D equals B times C. All you're doing is cross multiplying B times C and then A times D. So that's the cross product principle. So here's how to solve applied problems using proportions. You're going to read the problem and represent the unknown quantity by X or any letter. Then you're going to set up a proportion by listing the given ratio on one side and the ratio with the unknown quantity on the other side. You're going to drop the units and apply the cross product principle. Then you're going to solve for X and answer the question. So let's do an example. Here we have 30 elk are tagged. So that means we have 30 tagged. And then X are released. We don't know. It doesn't say how many are released. And then sometime later, we're going to set this equal to another so that we get a proportion. A sample of 80 elk is observed. So that means there's 80 elk total. And 10 are tagged. So you're going to want to make sure that your tag or your same units appear in the same, either in the numerator or denominator, but appear on the same, if they're both, either both on the numerator or both on the denominator. So here now we can solve our expression using the cross products principle. So here all we're going to do is multiply 10 times x and set that equal to 30 times 80. So now we get 10x equals 2400, or x equals 240 elk. So that's how many elk there are. Now similar triangles have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. Corresponding angles have the same number of degrees. So therefore, this angle and this angle would have the same number of degrees. And then corresponding sides are proportional. So this side would be proportional to this side. Again, this side would be proportional to this side, and this side would be proportional to this side. Now, if the measures of two angles of one triangle are equal to those of two angles of a second triangle, then the two triangles are similar. So if these two angles are equal these two angles, then that means that these two triangles are similar. Or if these two angles equal these two angles, then the triangles are similar. So let's do an example. Let's find x for these similar triangles. So here we have x, 7, and 5. And then here we have 7, 14, and 10. Well, that means since they're similar triangles, because these have the same angles, we know that because of these have the same angles, that means that these sides are corresponding. This side would correspond to this side. This side would correspond to this side. And then this side would correspond to this side. So if we have x over 7, which is this and this, set that equal to, let's say, let's pick 5, it's an easy number, 5 over 10. Notice that all these numbers come from this triangle, and these bottom numbers come from this triangle. So now we can set the cross multiply principle and say that 7 times 5 equal 10x, or 35 equals 10x, or x equals 3.5. So that means this side would have to be 3.5. So in this tutorial, you learned how to solve problems involving motion, work, proportions, and similar triangles. Now try and solve our problems in applications using rational equations and proportion workbook. For more help, sign up for online tutoring. And in the next tutorial, we're going to be going over modeling using variation. Thank you.